in a way that's relevant to your daily lives. But also, if you're not sure what an archetype is, or if that's a new concept, don't worry, it will all be explained very soon. Now, as you've gathered from the quizzes and everything, it is a little bit interactive today, so it is room for questions. But bear in mind that it is only a short time today, so we'll cover as much as we can, and then we can always discuss further questions after today. So thank you very much for joining, and I will hand over to Christina now to make a start. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. That was lovely. Now, sometimes I've spoken for a long time actually to different audiences and large audiences, but I love more intimate ones because you can see and talk to people, and of course there's old friends here and there's new friends, which for me is huge. You meet new people, it's a wonderful experience. Now, I speak about archetypes and personalities in part because I do psychology, I do therapy with people, and of course, if you know who you're talking to and they understand what they're actually doing with their lives, it helps enormously. Now, obviously, we are the sum of our, I suppose, what we've grown up with, our culture, with the sum of our backgrounds in general. So you have nature and you have nurture. And your nurturing brings out certain attributes, which in nature is generally what you work with even as adults. And when you look at children, you can often tell if they're a certain temperament. And when you look at your own children and you think, oh, they're quite extrovert or they're a little bit more introvert. None of these things are wrong, okay? When I've done a lot of things, and sometimes when I think back on them, I think about the times like when you're casting for TV and film, okay? And you've got to know who gels with whom, you've got to know who's going to actually be good in front of the camera. And there's a whole bunch of dynamics, okay? When I've employed people, which I have, I've been that person responsible for hiring people, then I want to know who, I'm hiring, what sort of temperament they've got. Now, a lot of people, they tend to think that there's a wrong and right way to be as a human experience, if you like. Who you are, how you're presenting yourself. But there's no such thing, of course, because, of course, if we didn't all have our different respective ways of being, we wouldn't, the world would be a boring old place, for starters. But secondly, we all have strengths and weaknesses. Now, a lot of people I see today are trying to fit into one size fits all. In other words, they see something on social media or they see some celebrity structuring their stuff, and they think, I've got to be like that person. Now, no, we're not going to be that. I'm never going to be the super detailed person and, do ledgers and things, because that's not the way I'm made, as you can clearly see. And so my temperament is obviously a little bit more what they call sanguine, which means I express myself. I'm more colourful. I'm the artist creative type. And when we talk about archetypes, that's been used a lot, okay? But archetypes were actually designed in the modern era by Carl Jung. And archetypes are a really interesting subject because he was working with the mind in the early days of this sort of process of understanding how people's temperaments came out, how they were expressing themselves, and strangely, how people were actually working through their processes of their mother and father relationships and these sorts of things, which he came to understand came out in people even when they didn't even realize it. So they were for something with their mother and father, or they were against something with their mum and dad. And that doesn't mean they have to be their blood parents. That can be your caregivers, your guardians, okay? And so they were just playing with this. There were a lot of great minds back then. Oh my gosh, they're like a think tank of brilliance. Anyway, archetypes came into the being, and they've been used a lot. I mean, I'm only going to use a couple today. I'm going to use examples like the lover, the caregiver, the magician, okay? Now, when you see a tarot deck of cards, believe it or not, you've got a lot of archetypes in that. So when they design some of these things, and you're having your card readings or you're having something done, a lot of the think tanks and people who don't understand psychology, they're using that principle right in front of you, okay? So, and today, unfortunately, when people are doing demographics, they're working on your site profiles and they're looking at your phones, they're looking at how you're imprinting into that space by your nature and how you're performing into that space. So knowing yourself, knowing what is around you, knowing who you're working with, what jobs you're going for, how you're going to be financially well, what you're going to do with your lives, especially your relationships, and understanding how you process the world is sort of he's very fundamental. I can see familiar faces everywhere. It's lovely, yeah. Cards in my individuals, and I've got Kate somewhere. Anyway, it's all good. So for me, it's a huge subject. So now when I'm talking to somebody, and I'm taking them to another space, and they've got stuck in life, like people do, they come forward, they think I know exactly what I'm doing, and they think, oh, I can't get past this point. What is this? Okay. And a lot of times it goes back to their nature and then their nurture. Has it brought out the best in them or the worst in them? Has it brought out those foibles, those weaknesses, or has it brought out strengths? How many of you got children? Oh, excellent. So you understand this process, especially with children. You see it so much. You see that, say, your son has got introverted tendencies, you start to worry and think, oh my gosh, the world's a crazy place. How am I ever going to get them to process that? Okay. Now there's another theory that goes about, and I'm going to share that a little bit with you because it's easier than getting too intense into archetypes today. And that's it's actually originally a Greek type of philosophy, back in the days when, again, they were exploring temperaments. And back then, they would explore the idea that some of us had choleric tendencies, and some of us had phlegmatic tendencies. And the idea was that phlegm is the slow-moving parts of the body. The choleric side is the fast-paced moving parts of the body, your blood systems and things like that. And so they started to work on these principles, just very, very simply. Because back then, philosophy was huge, as we all know. How many of you study a bit of philosophy? I love philosophy. And so they were actually working on the basis that if they understood what roles people could play in society, we've got a lovely face. You're not so smart all the time. You're my favourite already. I'm kidding. So this lady here, if you were working on principles, and we look around the room, you're all going to look at each other shortly, all right? People who have got more extroverted tendencies, or perhaps more sanguine orientated, for example, they'll be wearing brighter colours. Those of you who are what they call melancholic or choleric will probably be wearing darker colours. And when you do anything like that and you get on TV and things, they actually think about those things, all right? They think about that a lot. So some of you here, how many of you are wearing dark colours? That's it. Okay. That puts you, believe it or not, even though you might think you have an outgoing personality, you are more, your tendency is to be a little bit more withdrawn and perhaps think about things before you put them out there. Okay. There are other people here who are very colourful, like me. Okay. And when we're colourful, that means that we've got that more extrovert personality. For example, we don't have a fear of people. People don't particularly bother this personality type because they're not terribly troubled by that, because they can read people, because it's in the nature. Now, those of you who wore dark colours, okay, you'll calculate things a little bit. You'll think about them, then you'll produce the evidence. Okay, that's okay, because we'd be in an awful fix if you didn't. Okay, now my husband, who's one of those people, he's more that introverted personality type on one level. He's very detailed, wears dark colours most of the time. Okay, he will consider the situation before announcing it. Okay, now it's not set in stone. You might be having a miserable day and think, I'm just going to put on black because I just feel absolutely good. All right. But, there's a whole thing about colour psychology too. The colours you wear depend on, Jules, what are you doing? You're supposed to be wearing red. The wrong one on. Come on, all right. So, for me, it's about enjoying this. Okay. Now, how many of you have heard of archetypes before? Hands up. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. And how many of you have heard of the Greek philosophies, if you like, the personality tests that you do? They are not in enneagrams, but they're overused. But put your hands up. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So when you think of archetypes, I'm going to go a little deeper. You're thinking about not just who you are as an archetype. So you might have a caregiving general philosophy to things. You might have a caregiving output. You'll look after anybody, go rescue anybody, okay? But you might be wearing a different archetypical face. So you could have a lady that's a caregiver who has more of a male dominance in her personality, and therefore her animus, her drive, if you like, will be showing more perhaps than the caregiving. Right? You could have the same caregiving lady with loads of feminine, if you like that sort of energy, and that would be expressing itself. And so when people think of people, they often think, and often they want to be with people they like, and they know and they understand, and they're mesmerised by people they don't understand, and they're sort of looking at them thinking, where on earth did they come from? Now, the idea of archetypes and personality types is to understand the blending of these spaces, okay? And when I teach it, now, only in archetypes, we've got a whole bunch of things. Now, you've just hopefully filled in, how many of you filled in that little piece of paper we gave you? Okay. That piece of paper allows you to see whether you are a lover, a warrior, whether you're in these different boxes. Now, you want to know that, because most human beings love to know where they are in the world, what space they accompany with one another, okay? And so you can fill that in, and maybe we'll have time to get to that, and that'd be great, but if we don't, obviously, you've given us our details, I'll come back to you on that, of course I will. Now, anyway, I want to get into a little bit of interaction, something interesting, okay? Now I'm going to get this right around, because I'm going to have to draw it up. Now I'm going to show you the disc system, Americanized idea, from the original ideas of, lost it. Yeah, right. Now, what they've done in the modern era is they've taken archetypes and they've taken personality tests and they've made them into a modernized version of understanding it. So now if you're somebody that hires people, or you're somebody like me who's in casting and things like that, you want to know it. And so you think about it. You think about who your partners might be like.
Yeah.
You may be single, and you may be looking for that person to, match your energies, your temperament, your nature and your nurture, okay? And you may not understand what you're actually looking for, or you keep picking the wrong person, and they're actually presenting something about your past, your childhood, or your mother or father again. So how many of you have found yourself in unsavory relationships? Oh, hey, you're brave. Yes. How many of you, unsavory is a long nice one. Okay, how many in good relationships? Oh, this is good. Good. All right. Now I'm happy about that. Now when you're trying to understand your good partner, your children, your work colleagues, okay, you're trying to understand where they fit in a box. All right. So we're just going to use a quiz. For me, I also just use this as a simple example. So I'm just going to write it up a second. It's very warm in here, isn't it, guys? Gosh, wow. We're all going to be. All right. Now, this is this, as you can see. This, yeah. All right. And these people are extrovert. And this box is introvert. Okay. And this one's task orientated, and this one's people orientated. Oh, yeah, thank you. I got light to sort me out. Yeah, okay, she's detailed. This is light. So light. Okay. Now she's more detailed than me, as you can tell. She said, put the mic back, put the mic back. Okay. Now, as you can see, you've got this grid, all right? You've got extrovert, introvert, task, and people. And you're not literally going to be that, right? So you're going to be a whole bunch of things in that gradient, for those of you the melancholic ones, and the choleric ones. Which, this is the choleric, okay? This is the sanguine, Greek, okay? This is melancholic, as it sounds, and this would be phlegmatic, okay? Oh, I probably should have I probably pushed it. Can you hear me?
That's better.
Twice?
It was a figure.
See, now what would I do without lie? Now, lie is going to be here in the melancholic task-orientated box, right? I'm serious. I know lie anyway, so I know all right on safe ground. But here, she'll be in this box here, because she's always looking at the details and what I'm doing and how I'm doing it in time and all those sorts of things. Now, me, I could go on for hours, and I need somebody to say 5 minutes, okay? And so, this is D. This is I, this is C, and this is S, okay? This is based on the Greek principles of personality types. Now, a lot of you are obviously either Greek or Cypriot here, or something of that nature, yeah? And so, you'll appreciate that a little bit, obviously. You've got task people, extrovert, introvert. Okay. Now, if I use an example using me, because you can see me, all right, I'm here, husband, I'm sanguine. I like expression, colour, creativity, those sorts of things. However, I have a lot of this, which is task, believe it or not. All right, which is then helps me to speak to you guys and pull some things together and make some sort of sense of it all. All right, but I can drop down here into the melancholic. Now, in the choleric box, that's the person that's driven. They get things done, they're tasky, they can be domineering. They can be very difficult, actually, all right? Sanguines, we can be ditzy, we can be disorganized, but we always love people, no matter what happens. And a lot of people in that box are in therapies and things like that, and they get involved in helping people and those sorts of things, okay? They may even be in the arts. So you can see the task coming in here, and then you've got the sanguine. Now, if I drop into this place, this takes me to the shadow self. Okay? Oh, we use word as well. Your shadow self is the place you go to when you're not in a good place. You found life's a bit of a task and it's difficult and things have gotten hard for you. So I'll drop into this melancholic box. Melancholic is as it sounds, it's detailed. It's a very detailed, precise place. It's a very sensitive place. Some of you will have that as your principal personality type, right? You will. And you will find the world quite grating. And you'll find things, they get to you sometimes, and you don't know why. Because you'll have that extra sensitivity, perhaps the others don't. Whereas your out and out task-orientated choleric here will just bulldoze through the whole thing. They're usually bosses, leaders, management, okay? And if you're having a difficult day with this type of personality, it's because they don't have a lot of people in them. Remember, the people box is here. So unless they're going into this space here, which they generally don't, they come down to this space, they don't really care about you guys because it's not their role in life, okay? They weren't born to do that sort of thing. They're here for management, rules, and all that sort of business. How many of you understand this? Yeah, I'm not boring you yet? Not yet? Not yet? Oh, you're so sweet. Okay. And so we need to understand where we are in the world, yes? Happy faces. Okay, so now this is a very simple graphic example of that. Now what happens if you're down here, you're an introvert, and you're melancholic, and you're phlegmatic, okay? Then you find life very difficult, because a lot of times you're agreeing with people when you really don't even really want to, because you like to please people, you care for people, you may be even sensitive. Now, if you're in that box, you're thinking, ooh, that's quite interesting. How am I going to get over some of the problems I've got? How am I going to make friends? How am I going to bridge that gap? Because remember, a lot of people up here find it quite easy to make friends. The people down here, they struggle with that. And they struggle with telling people exactly how they feel. This is a tell, and this is an ask. So people in that box, if you like, here, even if they're coming at the quadrant that way, they ask people, not tell people. So now, let's have some fun. How many of you think you're extroverts? Okay, that's proportionally cool. All right, I tend to agree with that. Okay, all right. Disputing.
And I just translated what extrovert is in Turkish.
Oh, extrovert Turkish. Not pleasant. Okay, right. An extrovert is not necessarily somebody that's an exhibitionist, meaning they're showing off and this. An extrovert is somebody that can push their personality into a space, even if they're quieter. So they can sort of say, hey, here I am, I'm coming up to you, and there's an assertion, yeah? An extrovert. An introvert is somebody that isn't assertive. So if I walk towards this lady, she won't necessarily like it, she'll hold my gaze, but maybe she won't like it as much as somebody that's assertive, okay? Now, you see in a pack of dogs and cats, you see that there are more assertive puppies, and there are more assertive kittens, right? We found one, we've adopted one, he's getting very big, but he's definitely assertive little pussycat that we found around, okay? So some people are just born like that. They're born that way. It's part of their makeup. And nothing in the world's going to change that. You know, you could be looking at trying to model yourself on a whole bunch of people, but it's not going to take. Because every time you go back to your default setting, you were when you first started this whole thing, okay? all you're doing is growing into a space. Now, if we're working with our shadow selves, and by the way most people do sit in their shadow selves despite what they will tell you, they will find that they've got blocks and problems and issues and stuff that they can't resolve. And they don't know how, because they don't even realise that they're processing some archetypical parts of themselves, which I briefly explained, and they're pushing their personality into a space. And sometimes people don't like personalities, you just don't get on with some people. They just drive you around the bend, you wish you'd never seen them, yeah? And you think, oh, I don't like that, because they're just not judging in your space. So now you're in a relationship, okay? You want your quadrants in here to match one another. You want those, you don't want necessarily opposites. I know people tell you that. If you have opposites, you're going to clash, all right? But if you've got crossovers, so say now you've got that in your personality, you like to go out, you like to have meals out, you like to do something social. You've got the sandbox crossover, all right? If you are detailed and sensitive, and this crosses over, you'll have that in that space. But if you have too many of the personality traits in one factor and not in another, your relationship will struggle. Okay, no matter how many times you come at that thing, it just won't happen. Okay, because you're bashing your head against it. All right. Now, apparently in this group, you've got some fabulous people who've got great relationships. Yeah, is that right? Yeah. Okay. Because I like your smile, could you stand up? And this is your good lady?
Yeah.
Stand up. Stand up, just because you're a happy people, you don't seem bothered. Now, you can understand you with my Welsh accent, you're doing really well. Because I've got a Welsh accent, and I come from Cardiff, all right? Okay, now, oh my, they're lovely. Okay, now this lovely couple, all right. Do you know, after this explanation, where you both cross over with one another? How would you describe yourself? I'll start with the gentleman.
I think we're both introverts, and like I'm on that side, and both,
We're introverts, he's more task-oriented and I'm more people-oriented.
yeah.
But you cross over on the introversion and melancholiness. Yes, excellent, I would agree. Okay, so now when we look at this lovely couple, and they do make a wonderful couple, and that, obviously, if you find a good relationship in life, you should hold on to it, trust me, okay? But this lovely couple here, I can see she's slightly a little bit more people-y, because look at what she's got on the bottom half. She looks a little bit more outgoing, okay? She's not
We
too
were
long.
discussing that earlier.
Yeah. And you were saying... And I'm saying, perhaps you should wear some dark colours, more clothes. Okay, all right, that's good, I like this. Okay, and that's what you would say. That would be what you would say, because that's your way. Okay? My husband's always checking the details with me. I mean, I'm the sort of person, I don't know, sit by here, oh, hey, girls, and you do the quick. And do you know what I mean? If that's your nature, I'm joking a little bit. You make a fabulous couple, keep cuddling each other, stop doing them. Let me start. Okay. Oh, okay. You make a great couple. Now, your introversion is a blessing. Because when you're in the companionship of one another, you're in that space, intimacy, kindness, compassion, and depth. Because that's what the melancholic side, introversion, which you both obviously have, shows us. When you go up into this, gentleman, what's your name, by the way?
I'm Aristoteles.
Aristotle.
Aristotle.
Aristotle. I knew this one. Oh, that's good. That's convenient. All right. This is the good stuff. All right. Now, this is you, the choleric. All right. Now, I don't know. Gosh, I'm not very good at this, but I should eat it, shouldn't I? Okay. The choleric here. All right. That's you, taskman. Okay. What do you do for a living? Now, ideally, you should be an accountant, or you should be in some management or some position like that. But what do you actually do?
I'm an engineer.
An engineer. Okay, I'll take that. All right. Okay. Now, are you responsible for certain things in this engineering?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now that makes sense. Now, I use my husband earlier because it's easier to use other examples, and I don't personally pick on all of you because some people go, oh no, this lady's coming towards me. He is an engineer. He's in business and a director, and he's director of finance as well. Now that suits that personality type. down to the ground. If you put him somewhere else and he said, come up here, have the mic, come and entertain the people, you'd be like, oh, no, I don't have my notes. Where's the preparation, yeah? Because that's your nature, do you understand? Okay, when you fight, by the way, you'll fight over stupid things and there will be details. Try not to do that, okay? Because it's not worth it. Okay, thank you very much. Very good. Okay, now if you have the more outgoing personality and you have the sanguine personality, choleric, you're going to drag people into rooms. Earlier we went in to do the yogi thing. You know, that was so cool. But I'm like, yeah, let's do it, let's do it. My husband's going, come on, what are we going to do? And then I'm just, yeah, because I'm going to go for it every time, because that's my nature, okay? And, you know, you can look stupid, but life's too short to worry about that, okay? So now does this make sense to you so far? Hands up. Yeah, you've got to pass this bit. Okay. So dominance is direct, but it's also irritating, firm, strong-willed, and forceful. Negative side, dominant, difficult, dogmatic. Yeah? The sanguinary personality is outgoing, enthusiastic, optimistic, highly spirited, lively. Okay? But they can be messy, disorganized. You know, in that way, that does it really matter my stuff's all over that desk? Not really to me, not really. It's organized chaos, yeah? Okay. If you're an analytical sort, which is the melancholic, okay, you look this stuff up. I'll send you some more, but this is some basic stuff. Is analytical, reserved, precise, private, and systematic. Okay, and very sensitive. The S, the pragmatic, which we've not done much with that. All right, that's even-tempered, accommodating, patient, humble, serving, safe. Personality types, you need those. Oh gosh. They tend to be part of our backbone of our society. Okay, but as I said to you, their negative side is they'll always say yes when you mean no. They'll always be put upon. And if they were an archetype, they'd be the caregivers. All right, they'd be the caregivers. Now you've got those things in front of you with some things you can fill in. Now you won't be just one of these things because you can't possibly be one of those things. You can't just be a warrior. You might want to be, but you'll be maybe a warrior. You'll be a warrior and a magician. Okay, you'll be something. I'm the magician in the archetypes. Now it goes much deeper than this because what's the point in me explaining all of this to you? Well, it's only any point if we use it for something, right? We use it for creating our life, getting past our blocks and everything else. I'm going to drag this lady up with me in a minute because I love her. She goes, come on, give me a cuddle. Look at this. This is fun. So a creative person will always be loving. Okay, always. Now, how many of you, I'm going to ask you, how many of you work in the government sector? Oh, we got a couple. All right. Are you from Nicosia? No, you're not from Nicosia. Oh, I thought they were all up there. I thought so. They say, I'm in Nicosia. I'm like, okay, everybody good, everybody. All right, okay, cool. So how many people are in the care and nursing sector? One? Okay. It's a tough job. So what are the sectors of work do we have? What do we do? We don't got an engineer.
Fitness.
Fitness, oh yes. Yes, I saw the last time. I met you. Yeah, sounds good. Nice to see you. Fitness is nice. That's great. Okay, very physical. We'll get into that now in a minute. What else have we got?
Service, restaurant service hotels.
Service hotels management. Very nice. I like that. Okay. Beauty. Excellent. Okay. Now, some of us will have what they call a type of digital processing. Our world is very orderly, as in an engineer. Some of us will have spatial orientation and will produce something that is either physical, sports, or yoga, or something like that. Others of us will do something that's more from big people, and that processing will be through that space. And we will get our feedback through those spaces. We will literally get our feedback on that space. If I don't go and meet people, I go, it's a bit crazy. If I stay and analyze things forever in a day, I start to get sort of punch drunk. So I get feedback from people, and I don't mind helping them. So I have the caregiver personality. Now, one of the things that I do when it comes to an archetype, so I'm going to use me, I don't have to embarrass you, I suppose, is that my archetype tends to give too much. That's my biggie. I give until I fall down. Okay? And that's not a good thing. Now, this gentleman could be a caregiver archetype, and he probably is. Yeah? And he doesn't have a sexual orientation to male or female, because that's something that we design as humans too much. I'm not saying I'm getting into transgenderism, not. I'm just saying that your male, female sides can have that side to them. So in order to do something like this today, I have to pull on a little bit of my male energy to stand up here and talk to you guys. But actually, I'm very female when I go back to the house, I fuss around, I cook and everything else, right? We pull on different aspects of ourselves, that's what I'm trying to say, okay? All right. Now, what do you know about archetypes? Anybody want to volunteer? Because you put your hands up. You knew about archetypes. I saw you. Yes? Who wants to volunteer? What do you know about archetypes? Yes. No, very wise. Wise. Wise because I'm so funny. All right. Anybody know about archetypes? So it's comfortable to say that. Yeah? No? Okay. Let's go a bit deeper then. All right. So next we have the caregiver. We have the magician. The magician is the person who has the creative process in this field that we call life. They're the ones who create things. They build things we understand, and they have that innovation to have that thought. Okay, I was only joking when I said about archetypes. You're not going to actually say I know all about archetypes. And that tells me a lot about you as people, because you're very, very polite, and I appreciate that. Now, when I talked about these aspects here, and I said about different types of people, okay, if the person's in the introvert box, and this box here, the melancholic, so the melancholic phlegmatic, and I'll say that's a type of, we'll get into archetypes in a minute, that person will obviously be a lot thinner. If the person's more in their sanguine and their, this extrovert box, they generally put on weight. Why? Because they're more sociable. They're more usually out doing things. They're that type of personality. Okay. Now a lot of people kick themselves around the block because they say, well, I want to be something else, like I just said to you. So they might turn to this little lady and say, get you thin. Yeah? And then they'll go out and have a dinner, or go to a restaurant, or go and have a good time, and put the weight back on. So when people try to change themselves, I'm just trying to make that principal idea that they're trying too hard, and they're making themselves terribly unhappy. Because you cannot be what you're not. Okay. So now you fill that in, and some of you will have noticed that you filled in certain things on there, and I certainly would like to go a bit deeper if any of you are interested after today, and that's certainly something I do. I also am born with a gift for art and, I suppose, inspiration. I can intuitively often tell where people are going and what they're doing. Okay? And we're going to have a bit of fun. Now this gentleman here, how would you describe your personality, please? The gentleman with the glasses.
Yeah.
Yes, because you listen very intensively. I can see you taking it all on board.
I would say I'm in the low part, but I have as well the people-oriented, but as well the detailed oriented. So,
Excellent. And where are you from in the world, may I ask?
I live in Lanaka,
Where are you from originally?
Germany.
Germany, thank you. Now this is going to sound controversial, but it's nevertheless true. People who live in different parts of the world have different ways of being culturally. Germans are actually quite procedural and very detailed, and some of the cars and things are witness to that in their original designs. Other things like Greek society or Cypriot society is very lively, it's full of families and life, okay? And that's part of your community, that's part of your culture, your heritage. You're going to carry that into your spaces. It is boiling in here, isn't it? I actually wouldn't want this. Okay, all right. So now you're looking at those, hopefully those of you filled it in. How many of you filled in a piece of paperwork? Excellent. And the rest of you didn't? Did you not have enough?
No, we haven't got enough.
Oh.
I'll give everybody as they leave a business card. If they filled in their details on the thing, we'll send you the quiz and the answers online.
Yeah,
But if you haven't,
good.
you can text or WhatsApp and we'll send you all the details, okay?
Now, there's enemy, animus, and then there's your archetype. And then there's the archetype that you are, and then there's the archetype that you present to the world. They're two different things. You will have different faces for different people, but they will all be the same facets of your personality and your, if you like, your nature. You will see people behave in different ways in different situations. I beat the mic. Okay, all right, chomp chomp. Yay, that was nice. Okay, gosh, this is the one I usually wear a lapel mic because I like to raise my hands around. I believe this one. All right. Now, the lover can be a male or female. They can focus on passion, intimacy, and all good stuff. Okay. The warrior will be focused on purpose and achievement, as you would expect. Women can be warriors too, all right? Because I have warrior in my archetype. And you can be all of these. You can be a mixture of things. So when I did mine, I'm the magician, a bit of the caregiver, a lot of the warrior and the magician, and a bit of the lover, out of these. But there's a lot more. And when you blend those together, they give you, each and every one of you, your unique aspects of yourself. You're not going to pass that on here, you did the yoga with us. You know, he killed us, didn't it? He was doing the yoga. He said, I'm not going to do the yoga, I'm going to stand in the corner, and then I saw you doing it. And this gentleman I've already met today, and I had the good luck to sit at the table with this lovely man. And he is a little bit more introverted, but when I get to speak to him, he's a really interesting man. He talks about all sorts of interesting things. And we got into physiotherapy. And this little gentleman is clearly introverted, and he's probably got a task, he's wearing dark colours. But when I speak to somebody like that, the wealth of knowledge in that personality type is amazing. Okay? These are examples for you, because people are just fascinating. They're so interesting. And so, anyway, you filled in those. Now, how many of you would say that you were in your yang personality? That's your male personality. That includes women. Okay, girl power. And how many of you would say you're in your yin personality? That's your female energies. I know this about you, but that's good. Now you need both, actually. So this lady says she has both. In order to get on in life, you need both. Your enemy and your animus needs to be working properly, and you need to have the balance of those things. Now, if you don't have those balance of those things, where does it take you? Back to the shadow self. Thank you very much. 10 minutes and counting. Okay. The shadow self, as I said to you, is where we find ourselves. Now, anybody want to volunteer what a shadow self is? Yeah, go on.
I think it's the side that often we don't want to acknowledge, but it's dominating our behavior, or some things that we don't like about ourselves, but actually they can be strengths as well.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that answer. The shadow self is the place we find ourselves when we're not operating on all four cylinders. All right, that's a British phrase, but you know, you're not operating in the right place. You find yourself falling into a negative landscape, overeating, depression, aspects of you falling out again and out of your personality, finding yourself in boredom in a place that you can't find yourself out of, or worse still, getting into spaces that you hate about yourself. You should be reaching out to somebody and you're not. You're locked in a place that you can't find your way out of this maze, okay? You can make your shadow self your positive self. When I was first speaking, that's a long time ago, I was absolutely mortified. I couldn't even get up there. I was so frightened. And because I have a little bit of this in me, this task and a bit of this, I pulled on that. I put the notes together and pulled myself together and thought, I'm going to do this for the women. So I stood up on the stage with all these people in the audience and I pulled on the male energy. When you have shadow selves, not that we've got much time for that today, there's a whole wealth of knowledge in that space. A whole wealth of knowledge in that space. When you should be stepping forward into your creative spaces and not your task orientated, when you should be stepping into other spaces to find your relationships, this is what you're actually concentrating on. Is how your shadow selves interpret into the world. Anyway, we're going to come to time, because it goes quick. Alright? Now, how many of you have enjoyed this? Has this been helpful? Yeah? Okay, because I showed up today just to do the talk. Last time I did the stand, that was a lot of fun. But my son hasn't been very well, so today I just did the talk. He hasn't, he's been very poorly. And I wanted to share this subject with people and see if the audience enjoyed it and partook of it, okay? Because it's something I've been sharing for a long time, and I know much more in depth than I've shared with you today. Now, if any of you have any questions or would like any further thoughts on that, I would welcome it, okay? I would welcome it. So, the body language. There's a whole subject on body language.
It's me?
Yes, you.
Okay.
Yes.
What's wrong with my language?
If you're an introverted person, put your body down and just relax. Give it that. We're human animals.
Sorry?
We're human animals. When we do things, other people read it. So now you're introverted and you're task orientated, and you immediately go, okay, now that's your nature. But remember, the people who are reading you are thinking, what's he doing? Is that something I'm doing wrong? Now, I'm not thinking that, I'm thinking you're thinking. And you're probably thinking quite deeply, right? So I'm not going to go like, oh, what's that strange thing you're doing? But we all do it. We do body language according to our nature. And the other people read you, and they think, it's very standoffish. Or they might think, well, why is that woman flapping her hands around the room and what's wrong with her? The other way around. But it's my nature. So watch your body language with people, you know? It's a fascinating thing. I mean, this gentleman's very open, he's just processing stuff. You know, watch that thing, okay? I want to say to you, thank you for partaking today. Thank you for partaking today. You were the most brave people. Big vote, all right? All right.